in Dallas. Again, the Bears said you cannot talk to Mike McCarthy. Now, if you're the Dallas Cowboys and you're talking to Mike McCarthy and you're denying him the chance to talk to the Bears, then clearly you must have some interest in trying to work out a deal before he becomes a free agent. If they don't, then that would be a very petty move on their part to deny permission when he could talk to them next week. So clearly the Cowboys have some level of interest in working out a deal with Mike McCarthy. They've been talking, Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones have. My understanding is a contract is not close at this point in time. But the Dallas Cowboys don't do anything very quickly. Dak Prescott signed his contract on the day that this season kicked off. CeeDee Lamb signed after all the other wide receivers at the end of the summer. And so this is a situation that looks like it'll go down to the wire to see whether Dallas and Mike McCarthy can figure out a solution to any differences they have, or whether Mike McCarthy does become a free agent and then does interview in Chicago and New Orleans and some of the other places that would have an interest in speaking with him.
And to your point, he absolutely should be allowed to be doing that now. Jerry Jones, you called it petty. I called it mean-spirited. Whatever the answer is, we've been trying to attach some logic to it, though, okay? And maybe that's dangerous. Maybe what is going on there defies logic. But you just gave me an idea. The way this works with the Cowboys is the contract expired earlier this week, but the exclusive negotiating window doesn't expire till sometime next week, right? It's the 14th or something like that. So it's one day next week. You just mentioned Steve Sarkisian as a person of interest that some NFL teams might be interested in. Let me make this 100% clear for all of you who like to aggregate all the things that get said on these shows. Adam Schefter is not reporting this, okay? But I'm speculating. Recklessly, perhaps. The way this makes sense is if Jerry Jones has someone in mind that he wants to see if he can get, and if he can't get that person, he still wants Mike McCarthy. Well, what is this? What is the big thing that happens between now and January 14th? Steve Sarkisian's season might end, and he might get the opportunity to have that conversation before the exclusive window.
I want to come back to this. We see all these teams submitting requests for all these candidates. All these candidates are talking to all these teams. To the best of my knowledge, Dallas has not requested an interview with any one of these candidates. So I guess Dallas could always jump into the head coaching search next week if something doesn't get done with Mike McCarthy and find the candidate that they want. But they're already falling behind these other teams in the search for a new coach if that's the direction they go. So what are they doing? There has to be a plan here.
Right.
They're not just doing this willy-nilly and flying by the seat of their pants. So I think plan A is to get that deal done with Mike McCarthy. But if they can't, what is the plan? And I think Jerry Jones knows what that plan is. He knows what plan B is in this particular case. And plan B might even be plan A, but he can't get to plan B until he flushes out the McCarthy situation.
So I feel like you're kind of saying the same thing I am here, which is a delightful.
But you used the name and I didn't.
Exactly right. So again, to be clear, Adam Schefter did not use names. I just did. But the bottom line of it is this. Okay, so let me just ask one more question and then I'll let you guys have at it. What does it mean making a deal with Mike McCarthy? What are we talking about? He's been the coach there the last 5 years. Are we literally just talking about haggling over the money? The decision, he's decided he wants him back at this price, but he doesn't want him back at this price?
Well, I think
is that what we're talking about?
The length of the contract, how it would work, whatever issues that each side have to flush out. But again, you've had all this time. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out for the two sides.
Oof. There's a theory called Occam's razor, which is that the most,
I totally know what that is.
The most likely.
Let him do it. What is it?
Go ahead and tell everyone what it is. You just said you know what.
What is Occam's razor?
You guys think I have any chance?
Okay, the Occam's razor is basically the concept that in any circumstance, the most likely explanation is usually the explanation. That's Occam's razor. And so the most likely explanation is he has another idea. Jerry Jones has someone else in mind that he wants to hire. And for whatever reason, he hasn't been able to do it yet. And this is one place, this is one circumstance that at least it makes a little bit of sense. It is interesting to speculate about. Orlovsky, go.
Yeah, I have said that I think many teams in the NFL are going to want to talk to some of the college football coaches in the college football playoff that are left if they lose. I don't think it's just Sark. I think teams in the Cowboys could want to talk to Ryan Day. I think they could want to talk to Marcus Freeman. I think that the way that the NFL is going is trending a little bit towards the younger coach. And so my thing would be with Dallas. You may not want Mike McCarthy to be your future head coach or whatnot. Just do him right as a human being, as a man, as a leader who's given a lot to the NFL. So it's either you want Mike McCarthy to be your future head coach, and that's easy to get it done. If we're being honest, it's the Cowboys. Or you don't, or you're interested in someone else. And if that's the case, then let him go interview for other jobs, specifically the Chicago Bears.
Well, we think that they should, but they're not. And so that's what we're trying to do is figure out a reason why they're not.
And I would argue to your point of just do right by him. Already they haven't done that because, to your point, Shefty, if this is plan A, that Mike McCarthy is back as your head coach, why do you want to take that down to the wire? We already spent an entire offseason last year speculating, well, are you going to let him go into the last year of his deal without giving him a contract? You didn't. Now the season is over. What else is there to evaluate?
Yeah.
If you want him back, go ahead and sign him to an extension and let him be your head coach.
I would argue that we've spent more time on this show debating what's happening at the Dallas Cowboys quarterback position, how they're handling the Dak Prescott situation, the future of Jason Garrett, the future of Mike McCarthy, what are they doing with Mike McCarthy, than any other quarterback head coach combination.
Sure.
And I would say that Jerry Jones probably likes it that way.
Oh.
Probably likes it that way. So the longer this goes on, the more we're going to keep talking about Mike McCarthy and trying to figure out what exactly is happening in Dallas and who's going to be the head coach. And I don't think Jerry minds that one bit.
No, that's why I keep using the word performative. Everything they do is performative. It's like a big performance, and that's all well and good until it cuts the legs out from underneath your coach, because everybody knows, well, he wasn't all that excited about bringing him back. He could have done this at literally at any point, and I waited until the final possible second. Danny, final word.
If I were the Cowboys and Steve Sarkisian lost, I would want to talk to Steve Sarkisian.
I thought you were going to talk about the Occam's razor.
That's exactly what I thought.
Why is it called a razor?
I was waiting for you to.
Dan can use a razor. And you might as well use the Occam razor to get it done.
But why is it called a razor?
I can't explain this to you, Dan. I can merely tell you.
It's a theory that's called a razor?
It's a fairly
You know all about
well-known principle. I don't
was such a bad student.
I don't know the history of it, but
That's the difference between a UConn education and a Northwestern education.
That's like 4 times today. My freshman year GPA was a .67, and I rocked it proudly.
0.67?
0.67, FFFB.
And you were still eligible? Okay, anyway, let's talk about Tahina Pied Up. Let's run the hurry up here. We got head coaching vacancies. We've got ideas. We've got Shefty. Let's start in New England. Shefty, what's the latest with the Patriots?
Mike Vrabel returns to New England today, interviewing with the New England Patriots in person. Obviously, he is if not the favorite for that job, but the Patriots also are scheduled to speak virtually with Ben Johnson on Friday. They're trying to line up an interview with Aaron Glenn. We'll see whether that happens, but I think Vrabel remains if not the favorite. Meanwhile, in Chicago, the Chicago Bears were denied permission to talk to Mike McCarthy, but they cannot be denied permission to talk to Pete Carroll, who's interviewing today with the Chicago Bears. This is a job that he wants. After taking the year off, he's decided he wants to get back into coaching, and he's talking to the Bears today about how he could take a former USC quarterback as the former USC coach and help transform that organization. So you got Pete Carroll in Chicago, you got Mike Vrabel in New England. Well,